What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about the power of staying patient. That is what allowed us to capitalize on this move up today on Meta from the trigger level at $325 to the high of day at $328. Starting with the day trade watch list, why the stock was even on the watch list in the first place, it was a long idea today above 325. So we already have the trend line drawn there at 325. If we look at this setup on the daily time frame, what it is very simple setup here. What it is a range breakout on the daily that has just been giving us higher high after higher high after higher high after higher high. Really easy. So going into today, back to the 5-minute time frame, if we're looking for higher highs, then what we should be looking for is a break of the previous day's high of day, right? Which is at $325. So that is why Meta today, again, off of the day trade watch list, was a long idea above 325, just looking for that higher high. So by staying patient, we're going to go over to the alert room here. By staying patient, we were able to capitalize on the first move, the second move up off of 325 rather than the first one. And I want to walk you through my entries and exits and why I was calling it out where I did and why I took the trade where I did. So I'm actually going to flip this to the 1-minute time frame so we can walk you through the time-stamped alerts that came out on Meta, and it begins with this right here. So Meta, 9:38. So very early on in the morning, 3 minutes after market open, I'm telling you, I loaded call contracts for Meta. No position yet. I want to wait a bit to see if it's going to hold up. So right after the open, Meta starts to, sorry, I said 3 minutes after the open. I meant 8 minutes after the open there. Right after the open, though, Meta rallies up, breaks the 325 trigger level, and then continues to push. So it's not until this alert here, or this minute here, that I'm sending out that alert to you, right? I'm letting you know, hey, stock's over the trigger level. Let's load these call contracts. Let's wait a bit because this is an extended push. Let's wait a bit. Let's see if we're going to get a dip entry down to be able to take this entry, right? And then it doesn't pull back. We don't get a pullback. So 9:46, I say I'm not chasing Meta. There's nothing else breaking the trigger level. So patience at this time, right? Don't feel the need to always be in a trade. And that's such a common mistake that I see with newer traders. They always feel the need to be in a trade. Like, market just opened, market buy at the open. No, I mean, wait for the setup to come to you. You want to specify the entries that you want. And if you never get that entry that you want, then it's okay to not take a trade because the market will forever and always give you opportunity later down the road. You just have to wait for it to come to you. So 9:46 a.m., which is during all of this consolidation, you know, hey, I'm not chasing Meta. I'm letting that setup do its thing, and you know, we're gonna stay patient, wait on a dip entry if we get it. A few minutes later, 10 minutes later, almost, I'm giving you an update. Right, still on hands at this time. I like the relative strength though that Meta is showing. I may still try this long on a dip to 325, waiting for my entry though. So that's at 9:58, which is here. So as Meta is starting to break this uptrend trend line and sell off, I'm telling you right off the bat, I'm liking the relative strength on Meta. I'm going to try this long on a dip down to 325. So let's talk about relative strength and what it is. If I'm just going to go to the flex grid here, we're going to focus on the top two charts. So this one and this one, not these two. SPY on the left-hand side is opening, consolidating, and selling, whereas Meta is not doing that at all. Meta is pushing up into the high of day and then consolidating and still pressing high of day. So because Meta is doing its own thing, where it's quite literally the opposite of what SPY is doing, which is dropping down into low of day, because Meta is pushing at this time while SPY is consolidating and dropping, this is showing what's called relative strength on Meta. So it's just on its own program. It's not necessarily following the rest of the market. And this is going to be important later. So I said I like the relative strength on Meta, still waiting for a dip to 325, going to wait for my entry. Then I remind you, next minute, I loaded the contracts, no position yet, and then at 10 a.m., took initial entry. So I give you the contracts, I give you the fill price, I give you the size. I did use half size that I normally would, and then I give you the stop loss. So 10 a.m., which is right here. So we got the nice dip entry down to 325, and I tell you my stop loss is 325. By entering at this price point here, I'm giving myself a tight risk trade with the potential for a high reward. And so many traders are like, whoa, Gates, well, it's all red all the way down. How do you know that Meta's going to bounce here? Newsflash, I have no idea. I don't know that Meta's going to bounce here. I really don't. But you're going to miss 100% of the opportunities that you don't take, right? And I trust my analysis. I have confidence in my setups. I already said I liked the relative strength on Meta that it was showing, right? That's that key word, relative strength on Meta that it was showing. Again, trusting the analysis, understanding 325 was an old level of resistance, could become new support. It hasn't pulled back this entire run, and we do finally get a drop. Where does it make the most sense to bounce at? Well, 325. And if I'm wrong on the trade, again, a stop loss, if I'm entering at 325 or as close to it as possible, my stop loss very small with the potential for the run up to high of day, high reward, right? Because I would cut the position the moment it breaks down, whereas, if it bounces, then we profit. And so that risk that I assumed is worth the reward here. So I didn't know it was going to bounce. If I knew it was going to bounce, I would have used my entire, full portfolio on the trade. But I never know. So the only thing that you can do is enter at a price point where we call these pivot points, right? Price point where either the stock is going to bounce right away and you're going to be green immediately on the trade, or it doesn't bounce, it continues to fall, and you cut it right away. So you have to be okay with assuming the risk there, risk associated. So we do get the bounce move up to a peak here. I wound up closing this out for about 18% profit. It looks kind of crazy because you're like, whoa, Gates, you top ticked that before it came right back down. I did. I pretty much did. I think the contracts did go 20% here. I'm not totally sure. But what I was looking at was this. So again, just the old support areas kind of look like that, actually. The old support area here then becomes new resistance over here. You understand? So when this didn't give us a high conviction bounce, and it kind of just it was almost like staggered price action, like up, down, up, down, up. That went ahead and let me know, like, you know what? Maybe we are truly on the backside of this trend. Maybe this is indeed what looks like a bear flag formation, right? You can see the flagpole here, bear flag. So me looking for the 20% profit, I would have been fine taking 15% on that. But walking you through the trade here, now up 15%. I closed out Meta on that push. That's about an 18% gain. I remind you here, this is why you don't chase, right? We're not chasing the move up over here. This is why you stay patient, why you wait for the entry that you want. You mitigate risk, right? We mitigated our risk by entering in with half size there and take the profits when they're offered, because if you didn't take your profits, now you're back to probably break even over here before you get the next push. Trust your analysis, because if you don't trust your analysis, you're not taking this trade in the first place, and have conviction in your plan. So that's the first entry broken down for you. Now let's talk about the second entry, and keep in mind the relative strength, right? So our second entry was over here for this move up towards the high of day there. Okay, so we get the bear flag, what we think at the time is a potential bear flag. We get the bear flag break down back to 325. And if you're looking at this and you're going, Gates, well, if you entered long at 325 here, why would you not enter long at 325 here? And it's a valid argument. My thought process was that this was a potential bear flag at the time, and it could break down. So I was thinking we're on the backside of the trend, so I don't want to press the envelope and go long again here. So what I'm telling you in the Discord server, and I think a couple of members asked about this, I said, right now we're getting the higher high on Meta, can look for potential. Okay, so I guess I didn't post it in the alert room, but I did post this in the main chat. I said, look for higher highs, because if we're getting true bounce confirmation here, what we want to see is, remember this resistance area. So here's your support, that flip to resistance. What we want to see is that resistance broken. So in an uptrend, the stock will make higher highs, like here, and it will make higher lows, like here, right? So we want to see that over here before we take our trade for confirmation. So we get our higher high here, rally up, and then we get our pullback and our higher low, which is here. So why take the second entry there where we did? Well, again, just kind of going off of the price action, support, flip to resistance, and then back to support. Once this candle started to print green, I went ahead and took the entry. But that's not the only reason why. I tell you, same contracts for Meta, wait for a higher low. So I'm giving you the trade, right? We're getting a higher high. Let's wait for the higher low. So here's your higher high, waiting for the higher low. Boom, we get the higher low right here. Meta took re-entry, 10:15 a.m. 10:15 a.m. So we're going to go back to SPY. What do we see on SPY? Well, it's a gap up day, right? Gap up day. So we know on gap up days, one of the most important things to look at is going to be the previous day's closing price, which is way down here. That's that green line. So gap up days, we look for the previous day's closing price. It's always going to be a potential point of support and resistance. You can see that very clearly later on in the day too, right? Look at this bounce off of the previous day's close, and then you get a lot of chop near the PDC before it eventually acts as a point of resistance later on. So gap up day, aggressive sell-off to the previous day's close. Aggressive sell-off to a known point of support, potential point of support. And at 10:15 a.m., we get a doji candle on SPY. So aggressive sell-off on SPY, extension down. It's feeling extended down. It's feeling weak. We know that it's more likely to bounce at the PDC rather than continue to sell. And with Meta already giving us the higher high and the higher low at that exact moment at 10:15, this is where we take our re-entry. Because we get the higher low here, we get the higher high here, we have the old support now acting as support yet again, and we get the doji candle formed on SPY at the previous day's closing price. Because Meta's showing relative strength, and this entire time while it's running, we don't have market backing, my thought process is that if SPY does bounce and start to push up, then Meta, having that market backing, will also have the strength to push up. And we were correct here. And so the rest is history. You know, we enter into the trade. We get the move up towards the high of day. I wound up taking my profits off at 20%. Missed out on quite a bit of profits as it ran all the way up to 328. But you know what? 2 trades at close to 20% here, netting a grand total profit of 38% combined. I'm happy with that. And we killed this move here. I mean, we caught the majority of it from the bottom, you know, up to this price point, only missing out on that much of it. So I would take that any day. All right, that's the 2 trades broken down on Meta. I want to thank you for your time. I hope that this video has helped you out. Listen, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. It's the best way to support this work that I do. It's free content that I'm putting out, and I don't know any other traders that's putting out information like this and breaking this stuff down for you in as much detail as I am. Press the like button for me too. If you are already subscribed to the channel, press the like button for me. It's a great way to support these videos. And again, just thank you for your time. I know there was a lot of questions rolling in on Meta and why we took the positions and entries that we did today. So I do hope that this clarifies some of that for you. And, you know, watch this video again if you have to. These are great strategies to implement and utilize so that the next time you see something like this shaping up, you kind of have an idea of what to look for. All right, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in chat. Cheers.